Hollywood has a dark secret. While some child stars grew up to become legends, others vanished without a trace. They were once the faces on every magazine cover, the kids we adored on screen, yet today, most people don't even know where they are. In this video, we uncover the stories of 25 child stars who completely disappeared from Hollywood. Shirley Temple. Shirley Temple was Hollywood's biggest child star of the 1930s, famous for her curls, dimples, and cheerful songs like On the Good Ship Lollipop. She was the box office queen during the Great Depression, giving hope to millions of struggling families. But as she grew older, her appeal began to fade. Audiences who once adored her as a child had difficulty accepting her as a teenager, and by her late teens, her film career had stalled. Instead of chasing roles that no longer suited her, Temple gracefully retired from Hollywood at just 22. But her story didn't end there. She reinvented herself as a diplomat, serving as U.S. ambassador to Ghana and Czechoslovakia. Shirley Temple proved that a star could shine in many different ways, even outside of show business. She may have vanished from Hollywood, but she never disappeared from history. Macaulay Culkin. In the 1990s, Macaulay Culkin was the biggest child star in the world, thanks to Home Alone and Home Alone 2. His mischievous smile and perfect comedic timing made him the face of holiday movies. But behind the success, Culkin faced a troubled family life, including a bitter custody battle between his parents over his earnings. By the time he was a teenager, the pressures of fame and his family's struggles pushed him away from acting. He deliberately stepped back from Hollywood to live a more private life, occasionally reappearing in indie films and comedy projects. Though many expected him to follow a long Hollywood career, Culkin chose a quieter path, staying far from the mainstream spotlight. His story is a classic example of how overwhelming child stardom can be. Sometimes, the best choice is to walk away before the spotlight destroys you. Haley Joel Osment. Haley Joel Osment stunned audiences with his unforgettable role in The Sixth Sense, 1999, delivering the chilling line, "I see dead people." At just 11 years old, he earned an Academy Award nomination and appeared destined for a lifelong Hollywood career. But unlike many expected, his fame quickly faded. As he grew older, the industry struggled to find roles for him beyond the creepy kid stereotype. By his late teens, Osment had almost disappeared from the screen. He later admitted that adjusting to life after childhood fame was not easy, but he chose to continue his education and only returned to acting years later in small roles, voice work, and television appearances. While he may never have regained the stardom of his youth, Osment's story highlights how fleeting child fame can be. His career vanished almost as quickly as it appeared, leaving fans remembering him mostly as that haunted little boy. Mara Wilson. Mara Wilson was one of the most beloved child actresses of the 1990s, starring in Mrs. Doubtfire, Matilda, and Miracle on 34th Street. With her sweet face and natural charm, she seemed destined for long-term Hollywood success. However, Mara never felt truly at home in the industry. The pressures of acting, combined with personal struggles, led her to step away from Hollywood entirely. She has openly discussed how fame at a young age can be damaging, revealing that after losing her mother to cancer, she no longer found joy in performing. Instead, Mara focused on writing and advocacy, becoming a published author and mental health activist. While fans remember her as the magical, book-loving Matilda, Mara Wilson herself sees her Hollywood past as only a small part of her life. She may have vanished from the movies, but she found her true voice outside the spotlight. Jake Lloyd. Jake Lloyd seemed to have the world at his feet when he was cast as young Anakin Skywalker in Star Wars, The Phantom Menace, 1999. At just 10 years old, he was part of one of the biggest franchises in film history. But instead of fame, the role brought him relentless bullying, criticism, and pressure. Fans harshly criticized his performance, and Jake later revealed that school became unbearable due to constant teasing. The experience turned him against acting entirely. By his teenage years, he quit Hollywood altogether and tried to live a normal life. Sadly, Jake has faced personal struggles since leaving the industry, including mental health challenges. His story is one of the most tragic examples of how the glare of Hollywood can destroy childhood innocence. Though he completely vanished from acting, he remains a symbol of how cruel fame can be for young performers. Jonathan Lipnicki. Jonathan Lipnicki stole hearts in the 1996 film Jerry Maguire, playing the adorable little boy who famously said, "Did you know the human head weighs 8 pounds?" He went on to star in Stuart Little and its sequel, becoming one of the most recognizable child stars of the late 90s. However, as Jonathan grew older, Hollywood wasn't as kind. He struggled with being typecast as the cute kid, and found it difficult to land serious roles. By the time he reached his teens, his career had largely stalled, and he quietly slipped out of the spotlight. In later years, he reappeared in small indie projects and reality shows, but the massive fame he once enjoyed never returned. Jonathan later revealed he was bullied badly during his childhood stardom, which made the transition even harder. His story is a reminder of how quickly Hollywood can move on from its youngest stars. Amanda Bynes. Amanda Bynes was one of Nickelodeon's brightest stars in the late 90s and early 2000s, thanks to All That and The Amanda Show. Her comedic timing made her a fan favorite, and she later transitioned into successful teen films like She's the Man and What a Girl Wants. For a while, Amanda seemed unstoppable, even earning comparisons to Lucille Ball for her humor. But fame at a young age took its toll. By her 20s, Amanda faced mental health struggles, legal troubles, and substance issues that pushed her out of Hollywood. She officially announced her retirement from acting in 2010, shocking fans who thought she was just getting started. While she has since sought treatment and tried to rebuild her life, her Hollywood career has never returned. Amanda's story is one of talent cut short, showing how quickly child stars can vanish when fame becomes too heavy to bear. Jodie Sweetin. Jodie Sweetin became America's sweetheart as Stephanie Tanner on the hit sitcom Full House from 1987 to 1995. Her catchphrase, "How rude," made her an unforgettable part of television history. But after the show ended, Sweetin struggled to find her place in Hollywood. Like many child stars, she faced difficulties adjusting to life outside the spotlight. Behind the scenes, Jodie battled addiction, which further derailed her career. For years, she seemed to vanish entirely from television. Fortunately, Sweetin eventually found her way back, appearing in the Fuller House reboot and becoming an advocate for sobriety. While she may have disappeared from Hollywood for a significant period, her comeback story is an inspiring reminder that it is possible to rebuild. Jodie's journey shows the double-edged sword of child stardom, instant fame followed by years of struggle, before finally finding stability far from the bright lights of Hollywood. Corey Haim. Corey Haim was one of the most popular teen idols of the 1980s, starring in cult classics like The Lost Boys. Known for his boyish charm and charisma, he seemed destined for superstardom. But behind the scenes, Haim faced immense pressures and personal demons. As his fame skyrocketed, he turned to drugs, which would ultimately derail his career. By the 1990s, his once bright star had faded, and he struggled to find steady work in Hollywood. Despite attempts at comebacks, his addiction kept pulling him back down. Sadly, Corey Haim passed away in 2010 at the age of 38, leaving behind a legacy of lost potential. Fans who grew up watching him as a beloved child and teen star were heartbroken to see how his life turned out. His disappearance from Hollywood wasn't a choice, it was the tragic result of fame's darker side and personal struggles. Tatum O'Neal. Tatum O'Neal made history when she won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress at just 10 years old for her role in Paper Moon, 1973. She remains the youngest person ever to win an Oscar. Overnight, she became one of the most famous child stars in the world. However, her adult life was filled with turbulence. Struggles with family issues, addiction, and a difficult relationship with her father, actor Ryan O'Neal, overshadowed her career. While she appeared in films and television throughout the years, she never recaptured the same level of success she had as a child. By the late 1980s, Tatum had largely disappeared from Hollywood, making only occasional appearances. Despite her early talent, the pressures of fame proved overwhelming. Her story is one of incredible highs and devastating lows, a child who made history, only to vanish from the industry that once celebrated her. Danny Lloyd. Danny Lloyd was just 6 years old when he played Danny Torrance, the psychic boy in Stanley Kubrick's horror classic The Shining, 1980. His natural performance opposite Jack Nicholson terrified audiences and made him unforgettable. However, Danny never pursued acting again. Kubrick had shielded him from the darker themes of the movie, and once the film was released, Lloyd's parents decided Hollywood wasn't the right place for him. Instead, Danny chose a completely different path, focusing on education and living a quiet life. Today, he works as a biology professor, far removed from the fame of his childhood. While fans of The Shining often wonder why he never acted again, Lloyd has expressed that he has no regrets about leaving Hollywood behind. His story is one of the rare cases where a child star walked away from the industry before it could affect him negatively. Angus T. Jones. Angus T. Jones rose to fame as Jake Harper, the lovable son on the hit sitcom 2.5 Men. For over a decade, he was one of the highest-paid child actors on television, earning millions by his teens. But as he grew older, Angus became increasingly uncomfortable with the show's adult humor and themes. By 2012, he publicly criticized the series, calling it inappropriate and urging fans not to watch. This shocking statement led him to leave the show and walk away from Hollywood entirely. Jones later explained that he had experienced a religious awakening and wanted a life outside the spotlight. While he has occasionally appeared at events, Angus T. Jones has kept a very low profile. His decision to vanish from Hollywood was not driven by scandal but by conviction, choosing faith and peace over fame and fortune.